Welcome back to Rosewood Episode 2. If it's your first time seeing the series, I'm working on learning the game while securing Rosewood from the Zeds. If you haven't watched Episode 1, I'll leave a link above for you to catch up there first. Anyway, roll the intro. Rosewood. The place where my Project Zomboid story begins. You see, my knowledge of the game is minimal. I've played for 44 hours, and I would say a good 20 of these are sat in the main menu. This is the area we've picked to work in, and yes, it's not just the town. The biggest challenge we will face will be clearing the prison, but as of now, I am nowhere near ready. The objective is very simple: clear and secure Rosewood. To start off day 9, I spent the morning sat in front of the TV watching the cooking show. As usual, we had our early morning nap, then my attentions turned to the problem that at some point the water would be shutting off and I need to make rain collectors. Unsure of where to find them, I scoured through the crafting journal with no luck. I chucked on the customary hiking backpack, then headed out as I still had the one goal left to complete from episode 1, obtain a working vehicle. We also need a more robust base for the future, so it was time to scope out the fire station. We killed a few Zeds on the journey over towards the fire station and came across another survivor house. We also clocked a group of Zeds in the back garden of the fire station. We decided to bunk down in one of the houses at the back. I heard banging and I knew there were still people living there. As I headed upstairs, another jump scare as he came flying out of one of the bedrooms, and after a close call with dealing with him, I then bumped into another walking out of the office. I found an M36 revolver in one of the bedrooms, a pistol in another, then found a shotgun with 3 boxes of shells in the closet downstairs. Still no sign of matches or a lighter, so I decided to head round to the survivor house to see what goodies they had in there. As one of the windows was already broken, I decided to remove the glass and head straight in. Some alcohol wipes in the bathroom, a quick read of the Angler magazine from the bookcase, some more tools from the kitchen, and nothing upstairs. I grabbed one of the wood axes from the kitchen sink, then headed back to the other house as it was getting late. I got another skill point in light-footed and sneaking on the way. As I got back inside, I headed straight upstairs to bed, ready to start again on day number 10. I had a terrible sleep on day 10, waking back up at 1:30 AM. With so much in my backpack, I emptied everything onto the floor, ready to head out when it got light. While sitting and waiting with my lack of sleep, I remembered that yesterday I found a shotgun and 3 boxes of slugs. I decided that if there was a time to start using guns, today was going to be that day, and how I regretted it down the line, you will surely find out. As I attached my loaded shotgun to my back and readied my 66 shotgun shells, I was ready to cause chaos. As it was only 2:30 AM, I headed back to bed ready for daylight to strike so I could be on my way. My plan was simple and not very well thought through. Jump the fence, kill as many as possible with a shotgun. As I mentioned last episode, I haven't shot a bullet in this game apart from the tutorial. Off I went over the fence and the chaos had started. Remember, I want to use this place as my base for the series. Shooting 70 shotgun rounds was only going to bring every Zed in range to the base. But let's face it, it's fun and I needed the experience. I trained the Zeds round for 3 hours, using every last shotgun shell I had. More and more came, and I think on top of my head I managed to kill around 80 to 100. Once I was out of ammo, it was time to get the hell out of there. This is when I realised that I'd ruined the security of the fire station. No garage doors, no front door, and pretty much every window broken out. I tried to lure away as many as possible, shouting at the front of the fire station, then heading into the field across the road. As I was exhausted and my noodles were dark red, I decided it was time to make a run for it and get back home. I finally made it. My only hope was that they had no idea where I was and didn't come this far looking. I had fun and got my reloading and aiming to level 1, but my base potential had just took a turn for the worst. I added my shotgun to the table of goodies, dropped off more rubbish in the bin cupboard, then read some books to try and recover my mood a little. I then headed off to bed for what we will call today my afternoon nap. I spent the rest of the afternoon at home planning where to move the base to, and after a long consideration, I decided I was going to stick with the fire station, but build it back up. I looked more into carpentry and found the rain collectors that I needed for future planning, but found out I needed carpentry level 4 to do this. I even went outside and cut down a tree to see what resources this would bring. With my carpentry at 3 and needing to push on to 4, I went to the next door house and started dismantling more furniture. I dismantled everything I could, and when it was clear, I collected all the planks ready for the rebuild of the fire station. I would soon learn that this was nowhere near enough. As it got to midnight, I headed home, dropped off my loot, then headed to bed ready for day number 11. On day 11 we woke up with a good night's sleep. 7 AM we woke up. We headed straight back out to dismantle more furniture all day long with the hopes of getting towards level 4 carpentry. I collected up all my planks and nails and dropped them back off at home late that evening. We killed a few Zeds out the front of the house before heading inside to start doing some exercises as I needed to raise my fitness level. Apart from that, it was a pretty dull day. On day 12, I headed downstairs to catch the morning life and living, only to find out the broadcasts have now stopped. I was now in need of a lighter and some matches so I could have a smoke, and with the food supply also looking slim, I decided to spend the day out doing supply runs around local houses. I cleared a couple of Zeds that had been hanging around this house for a while now. After hopping through the window and stomping on the owner, I managed to loot more books, food and ammo, then headed home to drop off the spoils. I headed straight back out, avoiding the small group to my right, and began to loot up more. We got more ammo for the rifle, food, bumped into a Zed upstairs and had a quick nap. Fatigue had kicked in from the exercises last night. We found a room filled with boxes and my excitement had peaked, only to be brought back down by the sight of clothes and musical equipment. I headed out to check the garage and was caught off guard by a police officer locked in. After dispatching him and taking his double holster, I found myself a propane torch and more tools to continue with the carpentry skill. Still no sign of matches. On the way out I bumped into a few more Zeds, not much of an issue as I killed them off one at a time. Back home to drop off a loot, then back out for another run. The house to my right had cleared, so off I went. As I arrived I was greeted by 2 zombies coming out of the trees. Not as clear as I'd originally thought. Both dead, another crowbar, best weapon in the game. I grabbed as many books as possible, more food for the stock, found myself some new rain boots with a better defense bonus than my shoes, and more ammo for my shotgun. Still no matches, so we went back home. For the final time today, I dropped off the loot at base, exercised in the bathroom, then headed to bed. On day 13, I meant business. Straight up, ate breakfast, emptied the backpack in the bin cupboard, grabbed my trusty crowbar, transcribed my journal, then headed out towards the church. I started by clearing the little house next door, killing the Zed outside and the one inside. Little did I know that I'd alerted a group from the round the back. Luckily the fence slowed them down and one by one they fell. More food supplies, but more importantly car keys, which I suspect fit perfectly in the car outside. Firstly some more crowd control, and yes, the key fits. 4% gas. Hopefully that's enough to get it home. Another car with no keys, but what I found in the glove box? Matches. There was no key, but I did find a stone whilst looking for them. Time to check the church over before heading home. There was a small group out front, so I lured them away one by one while smoking like a chimney. Fatigue kicked in again just after killing them, so I headed inside for a quick nap. I killed off the last few outside the church, then headed in. There was nothing inside the main part of the church, more matches in the office, a couple of books in the bookshelf, then I headed upstairs. Man, I shit myself hard. 4 of them just stood there. I managed to drag a couple outside and they became easy pickings. As I went upstairs, one was just headbutting the wall, so I put him down quickly. Then this. Two very close calls, but I walked away untouched. I headed out, grabbed the car, and a leisurely drive home with my 4% fuel. It felt good to have the 4th and final goal of the early series boxed off. I parked up, headed inside to drop off my loot. And felt happy knowing I had a good stock of food, a vehicle that worked, and matches to have a smoke. There was no time to waste though. Days were coming by thick and fast, and the main priority now was securing the fire station and beginning the repairs. I had a plan. Load the car with all the planks and supplies to start work, head out tomorrow to gather fuel, then make my way back to the fire station. I spent that evening loading the vehicle with as many planks as possible, backwards and forwards till it was full. I then headed off to bed, ready to go for day 14. I knew this would be a good day when I woke up this morning. On day 14, I only had one priority. That was to get out and get fuel. As what has now become the norm, I knocked out some squats before heading out for the day. Can you tell me in the comments what time is best to do exercise as to the time you actually get the fatigue? Grabbed my keys and my empty gas can, and off I went. Car number 1, no fuel. Car number 2, no fuel. Car number 3, no fuel. I then headed into this small group of Zeds which slowed my progress. Found some more ammo in the fire truck, but unfortunately no keys or fuel. A couple more zombies cleared, and car number 5, we've found the fuel. I filled the gas tank with as much as I could, then found more in the 6th car. With a full gas tank, I headed for home and filled up the car. With the tank now at 46%, I was ready to go and take back the fire station. I dropped the empty gas can in the glove box, and I will tell you now, this is the best unplanned move I made today. I added some more ammo to the table of goodies, did some more squats in the bedroom, and had an afternoon nap. As it was late, I didn't want to head out in the dark. I grabbed some sleeping tablets in the bathroom and forced myself to go back to sleep, ready for day number 15. Day 15 was fire station day. I grabbed some emergency food for the trip, grabbed my trusty shotgun and shells from the table of goodies, checked the map for directions, and off I went. It was a lovely calm drive for a couple of blocks, until I arrived at the final corner. I could already tell I was going to be outnumbered. I drove the car straight into the garage and ran into the car park. I could see them all flocking towards the car, and I needed to think fast about what I was about to do. I started off by picking off the stragglers that had spotted me one by one, even grabbing a maintenance level in between. As I picked off the final straggler, I knew there were too many inside for me to go back in. I jumped in the fire truck to get out of sight and found the key. This got me thinking, what if I could get a car moving and lure them away from the fire station? I jumped out and headed to the engine, no fuel. I then headed over to the taxi, a key in the ignition, no fuel. I checked the car next to it, no fuel. I even checked the boots for a gas can, and that's when it hit me. I'd put the empty gas can in the glove box earlier. The only issue I had was that it was parked in the garage with the Zeds. I went towards the garage for a look, and what I could see, there was 5. Too much for my current state. I managed to lure 3 out and kill them. I then dropped the shotgun and the ammo on the floor for that extra weight capacity and jumped in the taxi to take a nap. I woke up and headed back to the door, killing the last remaining Zed in sight. This was it, my chance to clear the fire station. I hopped in the car, grabbed the gas can, then began to siphon the fuel. I had to stop as I was spotted by one of the Zeds outside, and with not much fuel in the can, I decided if I could just get them down the road, it was worth it. I filled up the taxi, I managed just 6% in the car I got, and off I went. I decided to use the horn, and my god, I didn't realise it would be so loud. I decided to do a lap of the rear yard just to get as many as possible around the front to follow the car. I continued to hit the horn as there was still a lot around. As I pulled back around the front, I was shocked to see how many the horn had already pulled in. They were coming from everywhere. I tried to pull more from the police station as I continued to hit the horn. I continued slowly down the road, hoping I could lure them up to the prison, and as I headed back towards the road, hitting the horn one more time, that's when the fuel ran out. Out I hopped, with no plan but to run to safety. I could not believe how many there were from the sound of the horn. I had to weave in and out of them, and this was the most zombies I'd seen whilst playing the game so far. I managed to catch a smoke break whilst walking and booted it back into town. I knew across the street there was a wall leading back to one of the houses I'd used as a quick base on my first visit to the fire station a few days back. That had to be where I went. I hopped the fence and finally found my way inside. I grabbed my old baseball bat just in case I had visitors, then sat in the bedroom looking over the fire station, wondering if my off-the-fly plan had worked. I couldn't see anything, so I decided to call it a night, and tomorrow we head back in to see how it looks. I woke up at 2 AM on day 16, still trembling from the day before. There was no way I was leaving this house in the dark, having come this far. This is the longest I'd ever survived in Project Zomboid, and I wanted to keep it going. I spent the early morning procrastinating, looting all the rooms like I hadn't looted this house a couple of days ago. I grabbed something to eat from the fridge and stared out the back door, gazing at the fire station. I headed back upstairs at 4 AM to get some more sleep before I headed back out. I woke up and off I went, over the fence, back to the fire station. I checked a few of the bodies in the rear yard, finding myself a bulletproof vest and a new lighter. I snuck back inside the fire station, raised my light foot by another level, then proceeded to check room by room if there was any Zeds remaining. It was clear, but it was in a bad state. With all my shooting in the yard, any Zeds inside were now broken out to eat me. The garage was a mess, there was no door, but I would get this place back on its feet. I headed down to the car as I needed to work fast as the Zeds could be back at any minute. I emptied all the planks and nails from the car, grabbed my hammer and saw from the duffel bag and went to work. That was until I realised the club hammer I packed could not be used to hammer nails. I emptied my bag ready to run back to base and get a hammer when I remembered I was sitting in a fire station. Surely there must be one here. I found another club hammer, but that was no use. Items for metalworking, an axe, a sledgehammer, and finally, a hammer. Step 1 was to block off the garage and add a front door. I built wall frames across the front, and this was when I realised I had nowhere near enough planks. I managed to get 2 walls up and all my planks were gone. My next idea was to take the car over to the trees in the backyard, cut them down and fill the trunk and bring them back in. I tried dismantling a few lockers to place them as a temporary fix, but that wasn't working either. As I was tired, I decided to go upstairs and spend the next few hours trying to put a blockade up so at least I had a chance if the Zeds did come back. And let me tell you, this was a painful watch. I finally managed to get it up, grabbed some food, then headed off to sleep for an early night. We now fast forward to day 18, purely due to me not putting my recorder on for day 17. To give you a quick rundown, we spent most of the day cutting logs into planks, managed to secure one of the garage walls, and put up a new front door. I also parked the car across the front of the garage, as this was to block any 8 zombies from trying to get in. As it was early, we cut some more logs into planks and got to work securing the rest of the windows in the base. 1 window, 2 windows, 3 windows, 4 windows, 5 windows, and the 6th window. For now, we are as secure as possible. Next, my plan was to secure each side of the fire station so we could use the backyard with no interference in the future. I got to work on building the wall frames, but this was going to take a lot of time, and planks. That's as far as we can go for now. I also boarded up the last window, number 7. I headed upstairs for a nap, but was woken by a gunshot that seemed very close by. I grabbed some food, then headed back down to the garage. This was when I spotted a number of Zeds walking past. My worry was that the gunshot was going to lure the horde away from the prison and straight back to me. As it was running low on supplies at the fire station, I decided today was going to be the day I moved over full time. I'd secured it as much as possible, and remembering that there was a fire truck outside with a good capacity boot, if I take the fuel from my car and leave it as a wall, I can take the fire truck back to the original base and bring everything back here. I grabbed my gas can, siphoned the fuel, filled up the fire truck, and away I went. I was back at base in no time, parking right outside the front door. I loaded up absolutely everything into the boot of the truck. I cleared the box in the living room, the stack in the corner, the stack on the floor, the table of goodies, the first aid cupboard, and all the food in the kitchen. I grabbed as many sheets from the windows as I could to put up in the fire station, then grabbed my rifle case and headed back. As I got back to the station, I dropped the car outside the front door, ready to be unpacked. But for now, it was time to get inside to fight another day. It felt good to finally be at our new base with all our belongings. I can finally start to put plans in motion to move the base forwards and be ready for our next steps. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch along. If you're enjoying yourself, don't forget to hit the like button, and whilst you're there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would like to know, how far does the horn actually go, because zombies were coming from everywhere a few days ago. Let me know in the comment section if you do know. Anyways, I'll see you next time for episode 3. Love you, bye.